Hello and welcome. So, today we're going to talk about the value of money, but probably not in the way you're used to. Forget Wall Street, forget the financial news. We're going to look at it all through the cold, hard laws of physics. And to do that, we're not starting on a trading floor. Nope. We're heading way up to the high Arctic to meet a creature that understands the real economy, the economy's hardware, maybe better than any of us.
Say hello to our guide, the Arctic fox. Out here in the tundra, survival isn't about complex financial instruments or market sentiment. It's about pure, brutal mathematics. This fox is a natural-born accountant, and it's running one single crucial calculation over and over again. Will I get more energy out of that meal than I'll burn chasing it? Every single hunt is a question of energy profit or energy loss. You miscalculate, you starve. It's that simple. There are no bailouts up here, just the unforgiving laws of thermodynamics.
And that right there is our goal for this entire explainer. We're going to try and see our incredibly complex global economy through these simple, brutally honest eyes of that fox. We're going to strip away all the software, all the finance, all the jargon to see if our modern assets can pass that one fundamental energy test. Now, it's easy to think that our economy has moved beyond these, primitive rules. We trade things that don't physically exist, we speculate, we create value from pure code. But the argument we're exploring today is that all of that stuff is just software. And just like this iceberg, underneath the surface lies the physical hardware of our planet, the real world of atoms and energy. And believe me, that hardware is still keeping score, just like it does for the fox.
So, what exactly is this hardware? What are the actual gears and pistons that make our world turn? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the physical rulebook that governs everything from a loaf of bread to a skyscraper. Okay, I know this diagram looks a little intimidating at first, but stick with me. It's the whole physical system on one page. This is a model of what the source calls the 14 physical elements of our economy. Just notice the basic flow here. Energy, like sunlight, comes in from the left. It gets processed by things like land and water, it powers our world, and then eventually it all exits as waste heat on the right. This, right here, is the thermodynamic engine of our civilization. To make that big diagram a little easier to digest, we can just group those 14 elements into 4 zones. Zone 1 is the source. Think of it as nature's freebies, like sunlight. Zone 2 is the processor. This is the engine room, where we turn that raw energy into useful stuff. Zone 3 is the facilitators, and this is where things like money and transportation come in. They're like the traffic cops telling the energy where to go. And finally, Zone 4 is the sink, which is the end of the line where all used up energy goes to die as waste heat. So this is the big question, right? How does the physical world of joules and calories connect to the abstract world of dollars and cents? Well, that connection happens at a moment the source material calls the handshake. It's that crucial point where a physical reality, like a barrel of oil, gets linked to a human promise, like a dollar bill. This water wheel analogy is just perfect for explaining this. Think of the flow of energy through our economy as the stream. And money is the wheel we place in that stream. Now, the wheel only turns, it only has any power at all because the stream is actually flowing. If that energy stream dries up, the wheel is completely useless, no matter how beautifully it's built. Money isn't value itself. It's just a claim check on real energy being spent somewhere. Now, if we want to measure how strong that connection is, we can use a metric called the energy value ratio, or EVR for short. It's a pretty simple idea. It basically asks, for every dollar in existence, how many joules of actual physical work can it command in the real world? A high EVR means your money has a whole lot of physical punch. Let's make this real with a loaf of bread. You go to the store, you pay $4. The food energy you can actually get from eating it is about 7 megajoules. But, and this is the key, that's not what you're really buying. You're actually buying a claim on the 100 megajoules of embodied energy it took to get that bread to you. The diesel for the tractor, the electricity for the ovens, the energy to pump the water. Your $4 commands that entire system. And here's an even more powerful example, steel. I love this idea of steel as frozen energy. It takes a truly colossal 20 gigajoules of coordinated work to produce a single ton of it. So when you buy steel, you're not just buying a metal, you're buying a durable, long-term store of an immense amount of physical effort. So all of this brings us to the big test case for this way of thinking, proof of work cryptocurrency. Now, you often hear that its value comes from the sheer amount of energy it takes to mine it. Okay, fair enough. So let's put it to the test.
How does it hold up against our fox's brutal math? Our Arctic fox is back to help us out. Imagine a strange new creature appears on the tundra, a cryptographic mouse. Our fox burns a massive amount of real, precious energy to hunt it down. But when it finally catches it, it discovers the mouse is made of pure code. And what's the problem with that? Well, it has 0 calories. It provides no warmth, no muscle, no sustenance. From a purely physical standpoint, that hunt was a catastrophic waste of energy. And this comparison really lays the argument bare. On the left, you've got a healthy economic activity. Energy gets turned into useful stuff that supports our physical world. Now, on the right is this framework's view of proof of work. High-quality energy gets converted directly into low-quality waste heat. It basically gets sent straight to Zone 4, the sink, without doing any useful work for the physical system along the way.
This is why the source material gives it the name Entropy Engine. From a thermodynamic point of view, the energy it eats up doesn't support any of the other 13 physical pillars of the economy. It just burns it. And for that reason, its energy value ratio is effectively 0. It's a ghost in the machine consuming real energy for no real-world physical output.
Okay, so let's zoom out and get to the final takeaway. If we actually ranked different assets, not by what the market thinks they're worth, but by their real role in the physical economy, what would that look like? Well, this is the physical solvency scorecard. And when you look at the scorecard, the thermodynamic logic is crystal clear. Right up top with a 9.5 is prime farmland. Of course, it's our most efficient way of turning sunlight into calories. Right behind it is the energy grid, the pump for the whole system. Steel scores high because it's that durable, frozen energy. Fiat currency, well, it's stuck in the middle because its value is completely dependent on the health of the physical system it represents. And then, way down at the bottom, with a score of 2.0, we find proof of work crypto, which, by this logic, is an entropy engine that consumes energy without adding any physical utility back into the system. And so that brings us right back to where we started, with a simple physical question. The social world of markets, it's complicated, it's unpredictable. But the laws of physics, they're not. This framework suggests that true long-term value has to be anchored to the physical world. So in a world that is ultimately governed by energy, the question on the screen is really the only one that matters. Where should we be placing our bets?